और पैसा चाहिए माला का आवाज खराब है अच्छा नहीं आज का जो है वो राख कोई भी छोटा राख दिया लास्ट को देगा तो बच्चे Thank you, Ganapati. Welcome to the devotees. Morning program. Those joining us on Zoom. Thank you for being here with us. We only have a couple people in the temple from today. There's a program last night. People are tired, naturally. And those that are here, thank you. And those that are online, I think everybody will be able to chant today, because I think there'll be enough time for everybody. If you want to recite the verse. See that I don't think. Oh yeah. If you have the connector, and then I can put it up on the screen. I can find it. We'll chant Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava, Jai Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janava Girivaradari. Gopi Janava Girivaradari. Jashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Avanachari. Yamuna Tira Avanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Oh Premanande. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pucharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirajit Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, one should first offer one's respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto the goddess of learning, Mother Saraswati, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart becomes almost completely destroyed, and devotional service unto the Supreme Lord becomes established within one's heart as an irrevocable fact. Today we are studying Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 5, text number 20. In the temple room, we'll do a call and response, and then we'll ask if anybody on Zoom would like to chant. Sa esha bhagavalangais. Tribir eter ahoksaja. Swalakshita gatir brahman. Sarvesham mam chashwara. Sa esha bhagavalingash. Tribir eter ahoksaja. Swalakshita gatir brahman. Sarvesha mamam cheshwara. Sa esha bhagavalingesh. Tribir eter ahoksaja. Swalakshita gatir brahman. Sarvesha mamam cheshwara. Lishwa bhagavalingesh. Tribir eter ahoksaja. Swalakshita gatir brahman. Isha mama cheshwara. Swa esha bhagavalingesh. Tribir eter ahoksaja. Swalakshita gatir brahman. Savesha mama cheshwara. Anna? Sa Eshwara Bhagavalinges. Tribir eter ahoksaja. Swalakshita gatir brahman. Sarvesha mama cheshwara. Devotees online?
Saesha Bhagavallinge Saesha Bhagavallinge
Sa Esha Bhagavalingay
Tribhirete Radokshaja
Vibhirete Radokshaja
Svalakshita Gatir Brahman
Pralakshita Gatir Brahman
Sarvesham Mamacheshwara
Sarvesha Mamacheshwara
स एषा भगवाल्लिङ्गैः
Sa Esha Bhagavalingay
त्रिभिरेतैरधोक्षजा
Vibhirete Radokshaja
स्वलक्षिता गतिर्ब्रह्मन्
Pralakshita Gatir Brahman
सर्वेषां मम चेश्वरा
Sarvesha Mamacheshwara
Hare Krishna. Saesha Bhagavalingay
Saesha Bhagavalingay
Trivir Etoir Adakshaja
Vibhirete Radokshaja
Shalakshita Gotir Brahman
Pralakshita Gatir Brahman
Sarvesham Mama Cheshara.
Sarvesha Mamacheshwara. Anyone else? Okay. Synonyms?
He. Isha, this. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Lingai, by the symptoms. Tribi, by the three. Etai, by all these. Ahoksaja, the superseer transcendence. Sulakshita, veritably unseen. Excuse me. Gati, movement. Brahman, Onarda. Sarvesham, of everyone. Mama, mine. Cha, as also. Ishvara, the controller. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. O Brahmana Narada, the superseer, the transcendent Lord, is beyond the perception of the material senses of the living entities because of the above-mentioned three modes of nature. But he is the controller of everyone, including me. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita 7:24 and 25, the Lord has declared very clearly that the impersonalist, who gives more importance to the transcendental rays of the Lord as Brahmajyoti, and who concludes that the absolute truth is ultimately impersonal and only manifests a form at the time of necessity, is less intelligent than the personalist. However much the impersonalist may be engaged in studying the Vedanta. The fact is that such impersonalists are covered by the above-mentioned three modes of material nature. Therefore, they are unable to approach the transcendental personality of the Lord. The Lord is not approachable by everyone because he is curtained by his Yogamaya potency. But one should not wrongly conclude that the Lord was formerly unmanifested and is now manifested himself in the human form. This misconception of formlessness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is due to the Yogamaya curtain of the Lord, and can be removed only by the Supreme Will. As soon as the conditioned soul surrenders unto him, the devotees of the Lord who are transcendental to the above-mentioned three modes of material nature can see the all-blissful transcendental form of the Lord with their vision of love in the attitude of pure devotional service. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Om Ganati Barandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. O Brahmana Narada, the superseer, the transcendent Lord, is beyond the perception of the material senses of the living entities because of the above-mentioned three modes of nature. But he is the controller of everyone, including me. This is Lord Brahma speaking, and we've been hearing over the last several weeks about Lord Brahma's position and how he considers himself. He is the topmost being in the material universe. He is the original being in the material universe. He is the secondary creator, in the sense that after he was created by Lord Vishnu, he was then in charge of populating and making this material universe. A very extremely topmost elevated position and personality in this world. But he's making it always very clear, and we reiterate this probably almost every class, just so that we don't fall victim to the misunderstanding that Lord Brahma is under the control of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, Lord Vishnu. And he's making this clear here. He says, but he is the controller of everyone. He, meaning Ahoksaja, that is Lord Vishnu, the transcendent Lord. He is the controller of everyone, including me. Despite how great I am controlled by a higher power, Lord Krishna. Now, in this verse, it talks about the three modes of material nature, and starts by talking about how only the devotees can truly get out of these modes of material nature. And there's two parts to this. The first part is understanding what the modes of material nature are, and how they interact, and how they affect us, how we identified with this. The other part is who is in control of those modes of material nature, and how one can actually become released. The impersonalists believe that simply by studying Vedanta, and through the process of vairagya, or detachment from this world, one can become free from the modes of material nature. We'll get into this in just a moment, because the idea of studying the Vedanta and understanding the modes of material nature and how they interact are extremely important. But Krishna says, unless one surrenders unto me, these modes of material nature will not be lifted. Daivihi yesha gunamai mama maya dharataya mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. 7:14 of the Bhagavad Gita. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is very difficult to overcome. But one can overcome it. One can cross beyond this material world if one surrenders unto me. In other words, Krishna is the remover of the modes of material nature. We are influenced by them, but Krishna can, this curtain that Srila Prabhupada talks about in this purport, which covers the living entity. That curtain, just like the curtain for the deities, just got drawn. So we can't have the darshan now. The curtain is in the way. We cannot see. We are blocked. Our vision is blocked. But Krishna, or his devotee, can reveal Krishna by removing those modes of material nature, and the curtain can be pulled back. But that process is not done through our own intellect. It's not perceivable by our material senses, and that's what this verse is saying. We can study and understand philosophically, theoretically, all we want. But the application of it is when our hearts become free from the conditioning of this world, and we act on the platform of devotional service, which is the dharma of the living entity, the Sanatan dharma, the eternal dharma of the living entity. For the pleasure of Krishna, we revive, we transform our lust that we've acquired by coming into this material world, due to our desire to be separate from Krishna. But when that is transformed into our original love for Krishna, we surrender to Krishna, to Krishna's will. We surrender to Krishna's service. Then Krishna says, I release the modes of material nature. This Maya becomes released upon my pure devotee so that they can serve. And we'll get more into this. I wanted to turn to the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, because Krishna, this is a very important topic, so important that Krishna dedicates a whole chapter of the Bhagavad Gita to it. Chapter 14, the modes of material nature. And in it, he talks about what they are, how they influence, and then ultimately how to gain release from these modes of material nature. He starts off in the 14th chapter by saying that, that this supreme wisdom, what supreme wisdom? What he's about to speak, and that is the modes of material nature. Prakriti. It's one of the 5 subjects of the Bhagavad Gita. This Prakriti. He calls it this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained supreme perfection. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. We can attain our spiritual nature. And when one is established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. We go back to the spiritual world, and we're no longer caught in this material world and the cycle of it, of repeated birth and death. So it is knowledge of the modes of material nature, which is this material world. But by properly understanding it, we can actually gain, we can follow the path of the sages who've attained perfection by hearing this. So there's the knowledge, there's the jnana, but then we're going to hear about the vijnana, the application of that knowledge, the realized knowledge. What does one do when one has knowledge of the three modes of nature. So Krishna continues that the material nature consists of the three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And as soon as the eternal living entity enters into this material world, comes in contact with these modes, he becomes conditioned by them. So we don't have a choice. It's part of the our orientation here in this material world. We take on the material qualities of this material nature, not the soul, but the covering of the soul, called the false ego. And it manifests in the form of intelligence, mind, and then the gross body. Goodness, passion, and ignorance. These are the gunas. Guna also has another name, meaning rope. So it's the modes of nature, but it can also mean rope. And they're tied closely together because these modes of material nature are very binding to the living entity. It binds us to a certain type of condition. And when our hands are bound, our feet are bound, we have very little ability to act or do anything within our control. So the modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, Krishna goes on to explain when one is situated in each of these, how one acts. And that in the mode of goodness, although it is pure, it is still within this material realm. It's illuminating. One is happy. One acquires knowledge. One is healthy. When one is passion, in the mode of passion and covered by the mode of passion, one is overwhelmed by unlimited desires and longings, attachment. And this attachment brings about fear, brings about anger, brings about lust to try to acquire those things that our material bodies desire so much for. We become consumed with fruitive activities, just trying to enjoy and acquire wealth, prosperity, fame, recognition. And this always leaves us in anxiety. It puts us in the position where these lust and greed, they cannot be ever fully attained. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire, where the fire just continues to burn. You think it's going to satisfy you, but it doesn't. And the same thing, the mode of passion continues to burn within the person who's seeking after these longings of this material world. And Krishna explains that unfulfilled passion will ultimately end in distress, into the mode of ignorance, tamagun. And ignorance is, just as it says, it's ignorance. And it's characterized by madness, laziness, disinterest, lethargy. And when one is in these modes, and when one dies and lives in these modes, at the time of death, one will go to a certain destination. One in the mode of goodness, they go to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion, they remain here in the earthly planets when they can perform fruitive activity. And that those in the mode of ignorance, they go down to the lower planets. Obviously, there's a lot more involved in it, but it's a general understanding that how these modes influence us. And then Krishna also explains that these modes are constantly competing for our attention. And there's a mixture of these modes. Oftentimes, you never find a person who's just always in the mode of goodness, always in the mode of passion, or always in the mode of ignorance. In fact, we can find ourselves in each of these modes within a few minutes apart from one another. We can be completely peaceful, studying, exercising, performing our duty without attachment, trying to understand the higher purpose of life, acting kindly. And then with just a moment, something can set us off and we're in the mode of passion. And now we're angry because our expectations haven't been fulfilled. And then we start acting in a way that is characterized by one with passionate nature. And then a few minutes later, we can find ourselves depressed and not wanting to act at all, and just completely morose and rejected. We just want to get away from everything and just go to sleep and forget about everything. So just within a few minutes, we can go from one state to another. That is because we're under the control of this illusory power of Krishna. And we don't have control, oftentimes, of our senses. So we fall victim to these urges that are dictated by the modes of nature. Again, we can't get out of that. This is the system of this material world. We have to live by the rules. So how do the sages, they attain perfection? Well, first they have to understand that this is this world. This is how this world works. Jai Shashi Gaurnitai ki jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Shashi Radha Bihari ki jai. This is how this world works. This is the system that it is operating under. And when we understand that, we understand how the game is played, we understand how the world works, we can then make adjustments in our life. We're no longer in ignorance. Now we are in knowledge. To understand that now I can do things so that I can free myself from this network that I'm currently in. So, but without this knowledge, one just thinks that this is life. This is the way it has to be. That there are no changes that can be made. And they're completely unaware that these modes of nature are actually influencing them and pulling them in a certain direction. This is an important lesson that we can learn. Because in our lives, we should be able to identify, am I acting in the mode of passion? Am I acting in the mode of ignorance? How do I bring myself to the mode of goodness? I see within myself and I see it within others. Because I read this Bhagavad Gita and I can identify, this person's really upset. This person is acting kind of strange. What is happening? It's the mode of passion that's overcome them. Sometimes within me, I can identify, okay, the mode of passion has overcome me. Okay, I got to snap out of it. How do I adjust the situation? Oftentimes we forget that it's the modes that are acting on us. And we think, well, this is just life. This is the situation. The situation is making me do this. We have control over being able to identify where we are and try to bring ourselves to the platform, to a different platform. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves always in a degraded position. Degraded in the sense that the modes of material nature will manipulate us, and we won't even be aware that they're manipulating us. The mode of goodness is the platform. To be on the complete spiritual platform oftentimes is very hard and may seem impossible. But at least we can elevate our consciousness to the point where we don't want to be driven by passion, and we can come to the platform of goodness. On that stepping stone to goodness, it'll open things up for us to receive Krishna's mercy. We'll be clean, we'll be responsible, we'll be kind, we'll be gentle, and we'll accept the gifts that Krishna has provided us, instead of looking at always the glass half empty, we'll see the glass is half full. We'll live in a place of gratitude. And this will generate peace within us. We need to get free from these modes. So Krishna continues. Those situated, okay, excuse me one second. When one properly sees that in all activities, no other performer is at work than these modes of nature, and he knows that the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. And then Krishna says, when one properly sees that in all activities, one second, I'll just sit down. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes of nature with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. So this isn't something that we just have to wait for at the time of death. Sometimes we have this misconception that spiritual life, true spiritual life, will be obtained at the time of death. Krishna will remove me from all my material desires at the time of death, and then I will live a life of eternity with Krishna, free of all my material desires. But this can be achieved, Krishna says, even in this life, if we are able to transcend the modes of material nature. So, give me one second here. So I had a quote here from one of these purports I wanted to share, and I lost it. Just give me a second, because it's relevant. Here it is. By the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master, a living entity can know his spiritual position, his material body, his senses, and how he is entrapped, and how he is under the spell of the material modes of nature. He is helpless, being in the grip of these modes. But when he can see his real position, then he can attain the transcendental platform, having the scope for spiritual life. Otherwise, one's life will be misdirected. Krishna sends the spiritual master to impart this knowledge. And the spiritual master will guide us on this path of Krishna consciousness. And the spiritual master manifests in different ways. Guru is one, but he manifests in our lives as many. There is the Diksha Guru, who gives us spiritual initiation and connects us to the Parampara, and also gives us transcendental knowledge. Then there's the Shiksha Guru, who is the active teacher in our lives, giving us spiritual instructions, answering our questions. Diksha and Shiksha can be also the same, but Shiksha Guru, the role of the Shiksha Guru is to teach, give instructions, and give guidance. This guidance is extremely important in our lives. Otherwise, we won't understand when we are slipping up, how to improve. Sometimes we can't see our own selves due to our own false ego. We can't actually see the faults that we have and how things are actually covering us. But somebody else can point that out to us. But that person also has to be qualified. They have to be non-envious. The qualifications of the guru, Rupa Goswami says, they have to be able to control, the tongue, the actions of anger, the mind's demands, control the tongue, the belly, the genitals, be able to have control over their speech. So in other words, they have to be able to transcend these modes of nature, be able to resist the urges that come for sense gratification. Then they actually can help you become free. They can impart knowledge unto you because they're acting on a different platform. I mentioned earlier about our hands being tied by ropes. Our feet are tied by ropes. These ropes are the gunas. Our hands are what we need to untie ourselves. But if our hands are tied, we can't untie ourselves. So we need somebody else whose hands are free to loosen the knot. And that is the knowledge that the guru teaches. That is the instructions of the guru, to free us from this bondage that we're currently in. Arjuna then asked Krishna a very important question. He says, "My dear Lord, what are the symptoms of one who is transcendental to the three modes? Tell me about his behavior, and how does he transcend the modes of nature?" Bear with me as I read this, but it's good to hear. And we've heard this before in reading the Bhagavad Gita. O son of Pandu, Krishna said, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all the reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks at a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. So, this idea of becoming neutral, and in all the ways in which the material world and the people of this world will provoke us into different reactions, to be able to remain neutral and see what is actually happening. Not what we're perceiving at that time, but if we were to look at it from Krishna's perspective, if we were to fly outside of this material world and look down on it, we would see that it's really just these modes of nature that are causing these situations and people to react to them. So when we say transcend, is to be able to see things from that platform, see things through the eyes of the scriptures. That is having eyes of knowledge. Jnana chakshusha, shastra chakshusha. And then lastly, Krishna concludes the 14th chapter, that one who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends these modes of material nature, and thus comes to the basis or the level of Brahman. And then he explains that he is the basis of this Brahman. And this is where the constitutional position of the soul can find ultimate happiness. So we have to understand how this is working, and we have to adjust our consciousness to how this world works. And when we do so, it'll bring us relief. We'll find our attachment starts to diminish, and we'll have a better handle and control over our reactions and our views of people and circumstances in this world. This will also direct ourselves to surrendering to Krishna, because Krishna is in control of all these situations. That the energy is ultimately coming from Krishna. When we surrender to Krishna in devotional service, and they use the word full devotional service, and in the Bhagavad Gita, in this verse, and then Srila Prabhupada in the purport talks about pure devotional service. We have to come to the platform where we want to give it all to Krishna. And when we approach Krishna, we want to approach Krishna with love, not with our own demands, not with our own expectations, but with Krishna with love. Then Krishna releases the devotee. He has the power. He's the only person. We don't have that power. Despite how much we know, and even so much how we can understand how these modes of material nature work, and how we resist the urges and we act differently by that understanding, still we are in the confinement of this material world. It is only when Krishna removes this veil of illusion, when he opens up the curtain so that we can see him, that is only within his power. The string of the curtain on the altar is on the inside, it's not on the outside. So from the outside, we can't do anything. It has to be pulled from the inside. That is Krishna pulling back his illusory energy. And why does he do that? Krishna says, when one surrenders unto me, he pulls that energy back. Okay, we'll stop here, see if there's any questions or comments. Nishinga Prabhu.
The meaning of adakshaya in the synonyms is said as overseer transcendence. I could not get it.
Superseer and transcendence. So Krishna is the super soul. He sees everything. He bears witness to everything, and he's always transcendental. So he's not situated on the material platform, even though he is overseeing the modes of material nature and overseeing the activities of the living being. He is always spiritual. He is unaffected. Yeah, superseer, transcendence, or hoksaja. Anything else? Let's see anybody online if they have any questions. Just that.
Go ahead, Rajesh Govind Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu Hare Krishna Dandavat Pranam is very nice class. I say it's very nice and clear, everything. Prabhuji, I have one question. Like, there's a nature and also this dharma is, I see there is we have to, if we're going to the, especially for the earth where we are living, if we need to leaving the bodies and going to might be the Vaikuntha Loka or any other planets, we have to must change the body. And also we know some of the history also we see that some devotee also going to directly the same body, they did not change the body and going to the upper planet, I mean Vaikuntha Loka or something. But do you know any of the history without Gurudev? I mean, the without spiritual master, is anyone can get the Krishna prema? I mean, he get this Krishna lotus feet
Without,
without
can
spiritual master. Yeah.
you say the last part again? Without the spiritual master.
Yeah, is without spiritual master, is anyone can get the Krishna lotus feet? I mean, connected to the Krishna.
Well,
Our process is that it is not possible for us.
Yeah.
This is the system that Krishna has set aside, or this is the process that Krishna works under. He works through the agency of his pure devotees. And the spiritual master is the external representation of the supersoul, who can interact with us on this bodily platform in this earthly realm, that can understand and instruct us and guide us and engage us in devotional service. But it is all the mercy of Krishna. Has there ever been a case where the Supreme Lord, acting directly as the spiritual master, has come in? He's guided Arjuna. Krishna is the original spiritual master. But this is not something we should think about in terms of, oh, I don't need a guru, I can just go directly to Krishna. Is there a case? There might be. I don't know off the top of my head if there's ever a case like that. But I know we shouldn't try such a thing. Krishna only reveals his mercy, through the agency of his pure devotee. By the mercy of Krishna, one gets Guru. And then by the mercy of Guru, one then gets Krishna. To think that we will just understand and go directly to Krishna, Krishna holds himself back. Krishna is not obliged to such. And then also, how will we understand? How will we know without Guru? We'll come up with our own ideas, our own speculations. Oh, this is what Krishna likes. This is what I should do. But it may not be given by under spiritual guidance. So this is not, again, there may be some case somewhere, so I don't want to say it's never happened. Krishna can make anything happen. Krishna may have done it according to his Leela. But we shouldn't think along these lines that it is possible for us. Is that okay?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah. I also, I did not also find anything like that. Yeah, you are right. Because, all of the scripture instruction, because Guru is the representative of the Krishna. Without Guru's mercy, we cannot get the Krishna's lotus feet. You are right, but I did not find, but I know might be you know better. That's why, I'm some questions coming like that. Yeah, it's fine. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for your clarification. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Because we even see in the personal example,
Lord Chaitanya, Lord Ram, they all accepted Guru. Well, they're the source of all transcendental knowledge. Everything comes from them. They could actually say that, actually, what do I need? I don't need to have a teacher. I'm just going to I'll just be manifest as the Guru. But actually, they surrender unto a spiritual master. They surrender unto a Guru to teach us the importance of the position of Guru and the Parampara system. So even following in their example, they set the example. Yad yada charati shrestas tatareva taro janaha. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standard they set by their exemplary act, all the world pursues. So even Krishna sets by his example. even though he's not bound by such, because it is from him in which Guru comes, but to set that example, he even demonstrates. So, any other questions? Or
anything? Okay, I wanted to say real quickly, next Saturday,
His Grace Anutama Prabhu will be here. He's the GBC for our temple, the governing body commissioner. And also a very wonderful devotee, disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So if anybody wants to come to the temple next Saturday, that would be great. He'll give class live here, full morning program, but if you can't make it to the Mangal Arati, you can maybe at least come for class. We'll also have Sankirtan in the afternoon. He'll be going on Sankirtan. He'll give the class on the Sunday feast on December 24th. And I think he'll also be here for Gita Jayanti. Gita Jayanti is next Friday, December 22nd. We'll be reading the Bhagavad Gita in its entirety here in the temple room, starting at 5 o'clock. So I know there'll be other Bhagavad Gita readings throughout the area. So I just hope that you can come join us in the temple or be a part of one of these other readings that take place next Friday for Gita Jayanti. And if you haven't participated in our December book marathon, sponsoring books, distributing books, helping out in some way get this transcendental knowledge into the hands of people who are looking for it but don't know where to find it. Help us focus on that during this month of December. Hare Krishna. Everybody have a wonderful Krishna conscious day.